Oh, we are live. It is Truth Will Set You Free, episode 46. We got Rogan's apology tour on this one. We're talking cancel culture. We got high school students across the country where they're making patriotism and freedom cool again. Jay Adonde at ESPN thinks that America's issues are equal to the genocide in China. Please leave. Please leave. We got to think of another, algorithm for ESPN. I know that's not the right word. We're going to do a V update. Department of Defense releasing data. We're going to talk about time between shots. We're going to be very careful because we're going to talk about masks because apparently the science has changed. The question is, has YouTube changed their policies? I don't think they have, so they're a little bit lagging behind. We're going to talk about an anti-Semitic bill from Florida in 2019, and DeSantis talk truck convoys and crack for black. That's what we're going to talk about. So I think we're going to lead the episode. Go ahead and hit the share button, guys. Do us a favor. And if you are watching, I'll give you guys the link on YouTube. We're going to switch to the backup page, which is actually Truth Will Set You Free page. We'll be switching to that shortly. But with no further ado, let's lead it off with a fun video.
Breaking news, everybody. Joe Biden hates black people. How this creates racial equity is beyond me, but all I know is the 1994 crime bill locked up a bunch of niggas for doing exactly this. Happy Black History Month, though.
So it used to be crack is whacked, but apparently in the Biden administration, crack is black. Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I'm going to defend you when they clip this and be like, this man said crack is black. All black people do crack.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the world is like, what happens? There's going to be a week where like, guys, there's no new news and nothing is a shitstorm. Let's take the week off. And I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think right now it's possible. No,
I don't think it is either.
All right. So real quick before we launch the show, things are getting interesting. They are. The tide is turning. Crack pipes for all unless you're a white man. All right. That's a new one. If you want to support us at all times, please go to our patreon.com/BetheChange USA. Go to our store, awakenotwokestore.com. We do have a 20% off right now if you do convoy, and we've got some trucker shirts. If you do any of the trucker shirts, we've got crop top hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we got women's t-shirts, we've got a couple different kinds. It is 10% of all sales are going to be going to the Give Send Go, which is over $5 million, even though the site crashed for a whole day, supporting the truckers. So kudos. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Peachy. How's Okinawa?
Okinawa is amazing. Can't complain.
So with our mandates of these dropping a lot of places, I know you said Okinawa is a big mask place. Are they all wearing masks out there or what?
Yeah. I'll say it's like 50-50. Sometimes you catch people not wearing it, depending on where you go. But it's not unusual for them. They always wear masks, especially when they're in like close vicinity of people or they're in an enclosed place to put on a mask.
They don't force it though?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
No.
Do us a huge favor, guys. Go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share. We're going to go ahead and have you guys all do hashtag Truth Will Set You Free or hashtag BetheChange right now. That'll help us get the algorithm bumping a little bit and get things moving so we can start this show. Other thing for you guys to check out if you ever want to watch, just in case we ever get pulled, go to hashtag BetheChange.com/podcast. You'll catch all of our shows on there. And now our link tree is very, very accurate. I've updated everything, all of our pages. As you can see, this is a little bit different. We have new branding, which you will see when we start the show. But where is it? There it is. So this is now Truth. You guys are on Truth Will Set You Free weekly news and conversation. The Be The Change page is still available, but you have to search Be The Change. It's Be The Change USA, or just Be The Change is the way to find it, and you'll see our positivity there. This is a full news-based network that is obviously conservative leaning, if you haven't been able to tell. Well, I don't know if we can call it conservative. Sunni doesn't think that we're fully conservative, so we'll just call it non-left. Can we say non-leftist? Does that work?
You're right-leaning, yes.
Right-leaning. Okay, there we go. Right-leaning.
I think we're just leaning is what we're doing here, right?
Say it again.
We're just leaning towards the truth.
Yes, there we go. There it is. We are a truth-based page. There we go. Excellent. With that said. For those of you that missed the first 25 seconds we got on this episode of Truthlessly Free, number 86, Rogan's Apology Tour, talking cancel culture. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking, trying to cancel him when he is throwing stones from the largest glass house in history, and many others, Washington High School, as well as many others. We got mask mandates across the country starting to be dropped. Stacey Abrams decided mask mandates only applies to children and not her ridiculously obese self. I'm sorry, comorbidities. Okay, well, you get it. Jay Adonde on ESPN. The V update are talking about Department of Defense and some other stuff. Truck conflict changes updates. The anti-Semitic bill from 2019. The anti-Semitic bill from DeSantis. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about masks, and then crack is black. So, guys, continue to share this episode. I'm going to let you guys probably share this. What is so funny? What did I do?
Crack is black. You just keep
You're gonna get canceled, bro.
Look, it's Biden. It's not me. I didn't say it. Biden.
Anthony's apology tour will begin next week.
I'm just reporting the news. Biden's administration is in full belief, clearly, that
Crack is black.
Hey, wait. Black people don't do crystal meth, bro. That's y'all white folks. Y'all mess with that glass.
Wait, is it crack or is it crystal meth? What's
crystal meth too?
Oh,
it's
all encompassing.
So they want you to smoke it instead of injecting it.
Oh God,
so much healthier.
Good.
It's
Can
just
you
a
imagine
healthier option, guys.
the meeting backstage, like in there, the Biden war room, like, oh, I didn't poop my pants. Let's finish up here. So what did you say about the thing and with the crack and but this doesn't include Hunter. Hunter doesn't get it for free, right? No. Okay. So it's something that I can say I'm helping minorities with. All right. Yes. Let me sign it. Okay. There we go.
This must have been formed by the same people who did the food pyramid.
Exactly.
Right?
Hey, that's a perfect example of science gone wrong. Like that whole food pyramid is completely wrong. Like, let's have a bunch of chemically enhanced gluten on the bottom.
6 servings of pasta a day. If
you guys can you put a bunch of white bread into your system, and then meanwhile a whole bunch of dairy and all the milk farm, whatever corporations across the country here's $800,000 to just say milk near the bottom of that pyramid. What do you say? Jesus.
Oh,
all right, I got to share this episode. Suni, what's going on in your life while I go ahead and boost it on the page or share it up to the top?
I've been having fun. I got to talk to some old heads about cancel culture, which I'm not talking about you, Mel. You're not in this. I'm talking about Oliver and Craig. Fire Whoopi, and I'm like,
you don't have to take me out.
Yeah, Monique.
Why not? You're not an old head.
But Mo is on their side though.
Nah, Mo, she understands where we are. Mo is not an old head. You don't want to be called an old head. That ain't where you are.
But I'm like,
no, but we were having it was a fun conversation. We of course we disagreed on it, but we agreed on the pretty much the basis of what I was saying. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. So we talked about cancel culture. I got to talk to God's child. Whoa, man, I needed a whole blunt after that show was over. I needed a shot. He went up, down, all around, sold people a sob story, and I was just sitting there like, people were like, why are you making that face? I'm like, because this guy's full of shit and you're just buying into it. Oh, you got off drugs. No, you're still on them. It's obvious. He's on every drug.
He had the minister thing down though. I was hook, line, and sinker until he goes, but I'm not Christian though. I'm like, what? If you just
this is like, wait.
What about when he read out of that book for like 3 years? Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Right?
when is this shit gonna end?
Y'all didn't even let me read. You know, you over here reading your scriptures, you cherry picking. I'm like, bro, I read a chapter.
And I
What
just
are you
opened the
talking
book and
about?
it landed here. I just opened it and I landed here. Yeah.
While the page is folded.
So with the Course in Miracles, that's actually a very famous, it's a very famous book of people that study the Bible as well. So it's got like I know the book that he was reading. It's like the marriage of spirituality with Christianity, and like Marianne Williamson is who I'm a big fan of. Talked a lot about Course in Miracles. It's definitely got its positives. I think he might have done some drugs while reading it, which maybe made it a little bit different. And again, watching him read that one page, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm trying to be on your side, and I was a lot, especially with his own testimony. But then at the end, it just was like, you've explained why everybody should be a Christian, and then said you're not a Christian. I was so confused.
This is the grace I'm talking about. I'm like,
got hoodwinked.
You triggered me. I'm like, this Russo's giving this guy all this grace, and he's full of shit right now. Like, you can't see he's full of shit, and all I see is Russo. Like, you guys are laughing at him, shaking my head. Listen to his testimony. I'm like, bro, he's lying. He didn't open the Bible to Job. He couldn't even tell me about Job. I don't. I'm like, so you realize Job didn't go to hell, right? Yes, he did. You know, the bottom of his feet. I'm like, bruh, what chapter? What verse? Oh no, I just opened to Job.
Okay. I don't think he was lying, to be clear. I just think he's an odd dude. I don't think he was lying about his own testimony, but he just discredited his whole I mean, the whole part of a testimony is like, this is my testimony that brought me to God. So how's your Christian faith now? Oh, I don't fuck with him. But like, what the hell? Sorry, Nancy. I mean, it's so weird.
I missed the part where his blistered feet, his funky ass blistered feet came into play during that whole, like, I was like, why are we talking about your feet? I don't understand. Was he relating that to something?
He was. He said, I went to hell. You know, I was in the middle of the street screaming, Mom. I'm like, bro, you had a bad trip. What are you talking about? That wasn't a spiritual journey between you and God, and he was bringing you out of hell, bro. You had a bad trip. And I said that. I'm like,
bad
I think
acid.
you just
it was bad
had
acid.
some bad drugs, but you know, I'm gonna appreciate your story. But I definitely called him out towards the end. It was a lot. Bryson had to rage quit.
Which I think is so, like, I
was rolling.
I hate rage quitting. It's like like at that time, I don't think anybody was winning the conversation yet. Like, he had just got done reading a whole page, and I was like, okay, things are starting to get a little fishy. And then Bryson rage quit, and I would have liked to have heard a little bit more of the conversation. But this is funny too. God speaks to him, but he's not a Christian. I thought that like if you're not a Christian, how is God speaking to you? Like, I can't even talk to somebody like it's like in a gang if I'm not in the gang. So it's like, how like, can you imagine? Hey, I'm not cool with you guys. I think you're all a bunch of criminals, you Bloods and Crips. But hey, can we have a conversation? No, you can't. You get shot. That's not how it works. Oh, that's funny. I think it's become a thing. Sorry, Nancy.
Yes, it has. We need to get a shirt with that.
Sorry, Nancy.
Right, yeah, she was the original one. But I love that she's kind of like, she's owned it. There was one other guy a couple weeks ago that's like, this was much better before you all swore. Like, it was much better now that you left.
Sorry, Nancy shirt. Yep.
Sorry.
Is Nancy even on right now? Like,
Nancy Smith, if you're here, say hi. She
got Nancy.
I think Nancy dipped because we said the F-bomb too much. Her poor little heart couldn't take it.
No, Nancy gets down with it. She just reprimands. I love Nancy, but no, that's no. If we had like a million followers, we could definitely get down with some Sorry Nancy shirts. That's our goal. We got to get big enough one day that we have Sorry
Let's
Nancy
do
shirts.
it.
All right, let's get started. What do you want to talk about first? Oh, can somebody do me a favor, Casey? Since you're always the man with the plan, can you do me a favor and get the link up to share it on for the Truth Will Set You Free / what used to be the BTC backup page? Because we currently have, let's see, we've got 22 people on the regular YouTube, which we'll be getting off of shortly, which I think, Kevin, somebody's asking about Kevin. Kevin will be back next week. He's got his LSATs, he's busy, etc. But yeah, so we're trying to be careful on the YouTube. But we'll leave it there because I think it's ironic. The things that got us in trouble, by the way, you can see on every major news station: CNN, Fox, all of them talking about how these don't work. And I'm not talking about Native Americans. I'm talking about masks. Okay.
It's in the private chat.
Russo's getting canceled by the end of 2022.
I can't do this show right after I watch Steven Crowder. It's impossible. I can't do it. All right, so here is, if you guys want to watch it on the BTC backup page, because once we start talking about V updates, Wendy or whoever. All right, I'm gonna put this only on. I'm getting a wow. That means I must have said something wrong. So this is the one you guys should be watching it on. Do me a favor, right there. You don't have to type that out. Just if you see it in your own chat, click on it. YouTube, Facebook, you're fine. YouTube, go over. Okay, let's start with Rogan's apology tour and cancel culture. Why not? You want to start there? Let's go ahead and do that.
Let's do it.
You already had a conversation with the quote unquote old heads, you ageist. So go ahead and you lead off the conversation, Suni, and we'll go from there.
Hey, look, I think it's funny that she got a 2-week suspension, right?
Talk about
Whoopi. I do think it's funny. But I don't think it's funny why she got it. I don't, because it's true censorship at the base of it. And for that simple reason, if it was for any other reason, I would probably be like, you got it. But for the reason that she was suspended, I just couldn't. Like, it goes against morals for me. Like that, I have integrity. I'm not going to celebrate that. She got essentially suspended for saying an opinion, and it's whack. It's whack. And I don't think conservatives should be embracing cancel culture, because it's going to bite you in the ass, man. When it becomes normalized and people are like, well, it's already normalized. Actually, no, it's not, because we all react to it. The left reacts to it. The right reacts to it. At this point, some of us all still think it's wrong, but it's going to get to the point where it's done so much that nobody gives a damn anymore. Kind of like the word racist. Nobody cares about the word racist anymore. Soon, nobody's going to care about somebody being canceled or disappeared or whatever you want to say about it. That's my take on it.
I'll let anybody else go first. Mo, I know you talked a little bit on the show as well.
Yeah, so I think that what she said was grossly inaccurate. I think there's a difference between having an opinion on something and just completely misstating the facts, which I think she did. So, number one, we should call out somebody when they do that. However, Whoopi constantly does that. That entire show constantly does that. So that is why I was all for the canceling of Whoopi Goldberg. I still am for the canceling of Whoopi Goldberg, because I feel like, you have to get what you put out. And they constantly talk about canceling everybody. Had that not been Whoopi Goldberg, had that been, a white person saying slavery wasn't about slavery or wasn't about the mistreatment of human beings or whatever, whatever they want to say, the media would have a shitstorm to say. They would be canceling people left and right. So, if it wasn't that show, I might think differently, but I have just been waiting for this to happen. Like, I think I willed this to happen. Because I watch The View for content, and I cannot stand those girls. I cannot stand them.
It could be the most divisive show on television. Ignorant, divisive, dumb, stupid. Here's my opinion. Cancel culture is one of those terms that has become just wildly thrown around, like the way Democrats say assault rifles. Like it's a terminology. There is a specific thing. Cancel culture is so specific, and we use it too much. Accountability is, if you make an incorrect statement, you should be held accountable. The right is getting canceled left and right for no matter what they do wrong. So the left has this little bit more carte blanche to do whatever they want. What's ironic about this statement to me is this was not even in the top 10 of the worst things that Whoopi Goldberg has done. Do I think that she should have been suspended? Sure. I really don't care. I think she should be fined, definitely, because that's the only way you actually get any response from anybody, is finding them. The right will get fired. The left, at least, maybe we hit their pocketbook. I don't know. I do think there needs to be accountability. And here's the deal. Do I think Whoopi should be fired at one point? Yes. If you make 10 mistakes and you continuously do not fix your mistakes and say stupid shit over and over again, then I believe it's okay to fire them. That's not canceling. That's somebody not doing their job because they have a platform and they can't just say stupid shit.
Okay,
Easy?
that's fair, right? Before
Yeah,
Easy
so-
goes, that's fair.
Go-
But I'm going to say, if we're going off that framework, which I think is completely fair, then no conservative should be complaining about Roseanne Barr because she didn't get fired just for that one statement she made. She got fired because of a history of doing stuff. So technically, she didn't get canceled by your definition that you just gave. When somebody keeps doing something, the network has a right to kick you off.
She had very little. I mean, unless you go back to her spitting during the national anthem in 1988, like she had been pretty friggin' clean for several years. And she also created what I heard was a very good work environment. People liked working for her, even that were on the opposite side of the political coin. Like her whole team was leftist. So it was just, from what I understand, Roseanne said one wrong thing, and she got fired for that one thing. Easy, go ahead.
So so two points on this. One is that Whoopi is representative of a network, and so when you talk about accountability, you have to talk about ratings and all of those kinds of things that come with it. And so when people are looking at cancel culture, I think we've substituted. And I said this kind of in comments during Suni's live that she did with this, which is that if we substitute the word cancel for capitalist culture, then all of a sudden what is good will thrive and what is not good will die off on its own. And so I think, I don't think canceling Whoopi over this is at all reasonable. But what people should be doing is tuning out, switching networks, going to a different program. And the argument can be made, well, there isn't, another platform, all of those kinds of things. But in the back of my mind, if we can go back to capitalist culture rather than cancel culture, this problem shakes out pretty quickly for everybody across the board.
Problem is, Mo and I are on the same thing. Like, I don't watch The View, but I watch all the clips from it. I know Nikki watches it. She sends me stuff all the time. Did you see what this crazy Anthony? Did you see what these women said? And honestly, it's their whole show is clickbait. So it's like, can you cancel the show? I don't know. You can't. And honestly, if we had a awake nation, it would be a great show to go, this is everything that's wrong in the country. Problem is, there are people that just aren't able to discern, and they watch it and they're like, oh my God, did you hear that? Whoopi said it. It's got to be true. Go ahead, Suni.
That is a very fair counterpoint.
But isn't that like, in a sense, that would be what the left is doing, because what they're saying is divisive and bad. We need to completely cut it off from society. Well, society has their own. They make the choice on what they watch. And if they want to remain ignorant, then remain ignorant. I don't want to control what they watch.
The only thing I'm offended by is they canceled the only black person on the panel during Black History Month.
I love that photo that they did.
Yeah, but they've been rotating black chicks in all week.
Oh, really?
Oh, have they really?
So it's Equal Opportunity Month.
Yeah,
got it.
Right.
Yeah.
They brought in Star Jones. You would think
No, she's
the right
suspended
thing
for
to
2
do would
weeks.
be to
She's
bring
just
on.
suspended, right? Yeah.
Welcome to
right
The
thing to
View,
do would be
ladies
to
and
bring
gentlemen.
Jew.
Affirmative Action Week.
See, if they really wanted to show they were sorry, they would have brought a Jew on. You know what I mean? Like, let's fill Whoopi's spot with a Jew. Seriously.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest really quick?
Go for it,
Right,
anti-Semite.
Remember, we're on social media.
You knew where I was going with this, huh?
Yep.
So you know how white people are just to the point where they're like, man, fuck race, bro, and like, fuck you black person, for saying this ignorant shit about me, and then you get caught. What do you mean, you black person? The fact that they keep fanning the freaking flames on this anti-Semitic issue is going to make people start hating Jews. I'm going to be honest. Well, it's no different than what they did with race with black people. It really painted a lot of black folks in a bad light, and I know a ton of black people, right? Because I grew up around them.
Hey, I got friends that are black. I get it.
A lot of black people don't even give a shit about the stuff that they're talking about, but because you keep fanning the flames, right. You like paint a brush of this is what black people are like. Well, you're doing that to Jews, bro. And I'm going to be honest. True. If I hear another Jew offended, I'm just gonna let loose because it's like, what are we participating in the oppression Olympics? Who can be more oppressed than the next group? Like, why does it matter?
To preview, we are going to do an Olympic show. I want that to be one focus because there's a lot of. I mean, should we be competing? I think you can look at it in two different ways. What's going on there? It's like, it's mind-boggling, and also, and then you add the fact that this is genocidal communist China, and then you add their ridiculously strict COVID testing, and it's like, holy gosh, like this is ridiculous. And then you've got, and I can't wait to talk about this. This is my favorite, the American chick that was raised in America, that last minute defected. You could look at her Twitter from like August and they're like, why are you competing for China? And she just got a bag of cash and now she's modeling for China. She wins gold. And she legit was like, I am going to be the face of what women could be in China. I'm like, yeah, if they're raised in the United States, like this could be the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, and of course the American media is like, oh, she went to China. Congrats. I can't not now. Cannot watch Steven Crowder right before we're on here. Otherwise, I'd like to talk like Steven Crowder, and he somehow doesn't get in trouble for it. But I will. All right. So let's.
Sounds like I Am Sam.
Oh, I can't go where I want to go. We need something else here. Okay. Rogan's apology tour is also part of cancel culture, and then we'll move on this one. Oh yeah, this is actually we'll talk about this on the Olympic stuff. Somebody said, is this a what's one of those video games where they're like where it's like alien or where it literally looks. Have you guys seen this? It's got the nuclear stacks in the background of the large like half
where the ski jump is.
Yeah, where the ski jump is. Oh, Suni, you haven't seen this yet? I see it in your face.
Pull it up.
Steel factory. I don't think they're nuclear factories. They're all like but they are cooling stacks that are the same.
All right, we'll find it.
Here, I got the picture right here.
You got it. You got to bring this up. It's.
Trump told him to stop spreading this information.
Because if it was nuclear power, then we should be doing some nuclear power over here too.
They look like reactors
for a steel plant.
That's a really big cooling stack.
Well,
yeah, look.
Holy shit!
No, that's legit.
It's wild.
I brought this up during
That's
work.
Like Chernobyl. What the hell?
I'm like, what in the world? Do they not have snow? Why do we have Winter Olympics where there's no winter? Like, what in the world is going on here? And by the way, Beijing is the first city to host both summer and winter Olympics. And
nuclear winter, guys.
See, are those really just cooling stacks? Because that looks nuclear to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
That looks nuclear.
Yeah, that looks
I'm sorry.
hella nuclear.
Thank you. No.
They're gonna have Chernobyl all over again. All right.
Yeah. Like, hey, just so
you
know,
I researched it a little bit, and I saw conflicting arguments. There was a couple of people who said they were stacks from a steel factory, which requires tremendous cooling stacks similar to nuclear plants. But my whole point is, if they got nuclear power over there, we need to bring it back over here again because that's the jam.
Well, yeah, it's very functional. But I mean, they say to the athletes, if you're thirsty, please drink out a bottle. Suggestion.
Somebody clip this.
I can't do it. I gotta stop.
How do you been by? That's what you sound like.
What a little green. No worry. Okay.
Wait. You know there's no R in their language, right? You know there's no R in their language, right?
It's chlorophyll.
L.
There's no L. It's chlorophyll.
There's no L.
It's chlorophyll. Really? It's not green. It's chlorophyll. It's healthy. Fuck, Anthony, stop it. Okay. Joe
This
Rogan.
is how we're gonna get our new YouTube page brought down.
Well, maybe if Crowder gets away with it on YouTube, he gets in trouble because he's like, election bad, whatever.
It's been good while it lasted.
Okay. All right. So Rogan, here's the thing with Rogan. We talked about his first apology last week. And I kind of thought it was strategic. I thought it was interesting. And I think it was on point. And then he did the whole apology. And I know Suni and I are going to disagree because there's the clip. Do you have the clip handy anywhere, Suni, of him talking about?
I think I do because
apes,
I had
know
it on the show the other night.
Yeah, you played it the other night. So he talked about the Planet of the Apes, and then he went in, and I do think it was a failed attempt at comedy. But
which one do you want? Do you want the apology or the ape one?
The ape one. The apology's long. People can go.
Oh no, I clipped it. I was like, I'm not posting this whole thing. I clipped it where he apologized for the whole black people comment, which was hilarious in itself.
Well, India Ari, by the way, like her whole thing was talking about how he used the N-word, and she only talked about the ape comment, which he didn't use the N-word there, and he never once said somebody is an N-word. He was just replicating.
He was reading.
He was reading, which I don't think I never did that. I was like, I feel like this is a bad idea. I'm just gonna say N-word, but like I never was like this. There's no way, because like people are gonna clip something out. It's not a good idea. But that I don't blame him for. And I think he should have apologized super quick, being like, sorry, it was bad. I shouldn't have done it. But the ape comment, do you think he should have apologized or shouldn't have?
No, not at all. Okay. Why not? I mean,
I'm okay with it. To appease people, and I know it's appeasing, but it's like, you know what? It sounds terrible when I hear it now. I don't do it now. I shouldn't have done it then, but I can't change that. Moving on. That would have been okay for me. But the ape comment, I think, deserved a little bit of discussion. But again, this should have been done in 45 seconds, not in a 6-minute clip. However, Mo, I think, was the one that talked about the library in the background. Was that you that talked about it on the show?
Yeah, because I had said I personally think that he was kind of like making a mockery of the left and like saying all the buzzwords that they want him to say. And then he had a bookshelf behind him, which was very like reminiscent of like Kim Klacik and Major Williams and like all these leftist, people that do some shit and then they fuck up and then they got to have the bookshelf behind them because that's the only way we can take them seriously. I found that bookshelf, by the way, on Amazon. It's like a paper that you just like tape in the background.
Oh, that's funny.
Obviously Joe's was like a real legit bookshelf, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Do you think he was dog whistling then? Not the way that people use the term dog whistle for Trump, but like actually dog whistling?
Yeah, I kind of think so. Because like I said yesterday, he posted like a thing yesterday where he was out at dinner saying like, this is how bothered I am. And he was like out having a steak dinner and he was like, I'm on shrooms, like he didn't give a shit. He wasn't out there like, living a quiet life because he said the N-word.
Was he having steak or was he having beef and broccoli? Okay.
I don't know. He was getting at Tony Hinchcliffe for ruining it though. And then he started talking about how the whole world is connected in fire. He was having a great time.
He was having a great time.
I wanted to put Casey's face up. He's just oh, he seems so sad. You've been here for hours.
You want to know why we get
okay.
All right. It's like Donald Trump has a microphone right now. God damn.
Joe Rogan shouldn't have apologized. He said nigger because he was reading nigger off of a screen or telling a story. I don't think he should have apologized for the whole ape thing either.
I thought you said the ape thing was racist.
I was holding conservatives responsible. This is what I was saying. This is why I said I feel like what I'm saying is missing people, right? If Joe Biden were to say that, automatically he's racist. Well, because he got a history. It doesn't matter. The word ape and black people used together and historical references, it's a racial slur. This is what it is.
I
so agree. It doesn't matter who's using it.
But he caught himself first. So it was, the thing is, Joe Biden's never trying to tell a joke. He's not like Satchel Paige, that old Negro buddy of mine. Like, you can't.
But Negro is not a racial slur.
It is in 2021.
No.
It's something you just don't say. It's dated. So again, I think it was a.
But he said the full N-word. He said the full N-word when he was like, we don't need any more. Well, fill in the blank.
He was reading
Congress or something.
He was reading somebody. Yeah, he was quoting somebody else's comment. But still, again, not okay.
But again.
So the big difference, though, is Joe Rogan corrected himself 4 seconds later. He goes, oh, that sounded really racist. That was bad. Like, he knew it right away. It's like when you are constantly telling jokes on the edge, and if anybody's ever seen one of his comedy shows, he is always on the edge. So if you're telling jokes on the edge and you can immediately understand that was not funny, it's like in his head, he's like, Planet of the Apes. And at the time, he was a hardcore leftist, and he's like, I can get away with it. That sounded pretty racist. Like, I think he caught himself. You've never once have heard Joe Biden go like, oh, I was wrong about that. Black people can use the internet. My bad. Like, that sounded really racist to me, guys. Like, he's never once
But again,
corrected.
he wasn't on a stage saying this. He literally was like recalling a story in case it came up of him and his friends walking down the street after a movie. Like this was like a conversation between friends.
Yeah,
so
but it's live.
We have to keep that in mind, you know.
I think there's also some context to it, which is he was speaking kind of directly about where he was in one area and then was in a different area where the demographics were just completely different. And I saw the reference more as a reference to like, oh, I could have mistaken myself when I got out of the cab as being in a different country, right? Now, I don't think it makes it right, but to that point, he did correct himself very quickly, knowing that the connotation of what he was saying was a borderline at best and counterintuitive to say the least.
I'm just saying, if anybody else outside of him were to say that, it would be a problem. It would. And I don't know why people are denying it. It would be a problem. We'd be doing shows about it. This person, especially if they were a leftist, like it would be a problem. But because it's Joe Rogan, it's like, oh, it's just a joke.
If Joe Rogan said that, if Joe Rogan said that a year ago, I think it's a different story. It'd be like, shit. Even if he corrected himself, but we're talking 9 years ago when people still said the RETARD word without any issues. The people said, oh, that's GAY, or oh, that's like, there was just a difference in things that were said then, because it was the beginning of iPhones. I think it was like 2012, 2013. It doesn't make it okay, but the fact that he caught himself is okay. I think in this day and age, if it would have been a verbal slur mistake made in 2019, 2020, different story.
Okay, fine. I'll concede on that point. But this apology, I just wish he would have been like, look, I said it, and you know what, my bad. But when he explained it, yeah, I said this, but I'm gonna just play it. When he explained it, I was like, bro, you're full of shit. Just own what you did.
And there's another clip that I have to address. There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. And we didn't know where we were going. We just got dropped off by a cab and we got dropped off in this all black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining. And I said, we got out and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like that. And I immediately afterwards said, that's a racist thing to say. Planet of the Apes wasn't even in Africa. I was just saying there's a lot of black people there. But then I went on to talk about what a positive experience it was and how much fun it was.
Bruh.
See, that to me, like I would have been okay with you saying, I said it, I shouldn't have said it, you know, end it there. But to be like, I know in no way meant to compare black people to apes.
Yes,
like,
you did.
That's what I like to call.
Like, just admit it.
That's what I like to call it. Mediocre apology.
Oh, Jesus. No, and like Tim Pool was saying the same thing. I was watching him just earlier today, and Tim Pool also was making an assumption, but from his point, what he was making with it, I actually agree with. He's thinking that Joe Rogan was trying to clear the air and do this because he's thinking he got part ownership or a bunch of shares of Spotify with his deal. And he's just trying to clean it up and just make everything go away. And you could tell. And that's where I don't think that apology is not a Joe Rogan style conversation. It was not. Joe Rogan is much more just, well, soft approach, but direct at the same time. And that was not it. That was not him. And so someone wrote that, or he was just being super overly talkative, which is generally a sign of of lying. And that's where I'm like, I don't like the apology from him at all. Absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
you should.
Or he was high.
It was like
he looked high.
He might
He's
have
like,
been.
yeah, I said it, but I wasn't talking about black people. But it was in Africa, and I'm like, bruh, you're making this worse. Shut up.
I think that is the point that I think is interesting. Well, I think it does. It makes it worse because if he just was straight to it and said, look, I said some stuff. It is what it is. It's in the past. We're not saying it again in the future. clap, clap, let's go, right? Like that would appease the people who listen to him most often. Whereas this has created a firestorm. And what it looks like is they couldn't get him on medical tyranny. They couldn't get him on this. So now they're hitting him with racism, right?
Got him on race.
So
Exactly.
like they're just hitting down the chopping block.
Have you guys seen this video yet?
No.
The clip together, because obviously the part of what I want to talk about is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Captain Joe Biden, fangirl, decided to give support to Joe Rogan. Then he found out about his use of the N-word. So then they have this hilarious edited clip using you. I mean, it's real. It's just not at the same time. But this is pretty funny.
Okay, if The Rock didn't run over Stone Cold, then who did? Who's going to step forward? Now, Mick, if you need even further clarification, let The Rock tell you in Chinese. Look at Chinese. Ding bong, ding dong, he's Stone Cold. It's ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
So good. It's so good.
That is Russo tonight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's way worse than Russo. What's
that? Chinese hate speech?
No, he's not. Of course not. I mean, it just shows this lack of. It's like The Rock had to jump on. You can't tell me The Rock didn't like think about it. And he's like, oh, I'm going to rescind my apology and like not think back to his time in the WWE where they do so much off the wall shit. Like there is nothing off limits in the WWE. Like I'm surprised there's not clips of him not using the F word, not the F-U-C-K, but some other words like that.
Bundle of sticks.
Bundle of sticks. Like I can't imagine that like he could think in his head like, well, I'm glad that my background is completely clear. Like you can't be that dumb. You can't be that stupid.
Or what about that video of him on SNL? I think it was SNL where they were talking about the robot that molests children.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, they were showing a bunch of like the questionable Rock clips and then like the blackface stuff with Trudeau, and I'm like, how did they not show the Rock talking about killing, was he like a child killer, what was that? That clip was interestingly kind of funny, but weird.
He was like a scientist.
Yeah.
He was a scientist and he invented a robot that molested children.
A child molesting robot, and it was a well written, actually oddly well written piece for Saturday Night Live. But it was also going like, are they hinting towards truth here, or anyways?
They're grooming people.
Right.
You know who is a child molesting looking robot?
Joe Biden.
Zuckerberg looks like he could be a robot that's like, oh, boobies.
So he's a weirdo.
Yeah. He looks weird.
To this point of The Rock being an interesting person, that I disagree with vehemently. Did anybody catch what happened on Twitter a few days ago where they flat out found transphobic tweets that he had made?
No.
Who's that?
I mean, okay, I'm transphobic, so I might agree with him.
Well, the point was that it was in bad grace, right? So like he got caught telling this lady Katie Robin.
This is The Rock. Yeah.
Is it a real lady?
This is his tweet.
I can't see it.
Don't be angry, Miss Katie. It's not our fault. Turning tranny tricks to put yourself through nursing schools. Shh.
Hey, that's lit. Let's go.
Like,
I saw that.
And this was like a whole back and forth that he had with this lady or dude, or I don't know what it was, but it was to that point of like The Rock separating himself from Joe Rogan over this crazy stuff, and then nobody wants to talk about
his whole life.
Right?
Does he forget about all that?
It must.
Smell what The Rock is cooking. It's not good. Okay. I should probably bring this Adonde. All right, we're gonna do this will be our last subject on this YouTube, or where we still have this YouTube up. Let me see where we got right now. So we have most people are on the BTC backup, aka Truth Will Set You Free. So if you are on the page that you can see this, which is our typical Be the Change page, because we're not allowed to talk about anything that has any scientific truth to it, we are on a 2-strike warning. We're going to be moving that to our backup page. We're going to do one more topic. Let me try to find, where did I put the Adonde clip? Let me see if I can find it real fast. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do a quick quick talk about the bill from 2019. Let's do that, if that's all right. Suni, if you want to bring that up, the anti-Semitic discussion from DeSantis.
Sure, hold on, I'll have to pull it up.
While
I wasn't prepared.
No,
oh, is that what you were talking about yesterday in your live, Sudi?
Yeah.
So this is a bill from 2019 that DeSantis signed into law, and it is essentially an anti-Semitic bill.
Yes.
But we're gonna, I think there's some nuances.
Gender identity in here, which was bonkers to me. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go with that. All right. So from this point on down is the most important parts of the bill. The beginning is just saying what they are taking out and inserting and what needs to be acknowledged. So pretty much this is for public educational institutions from K through 20. They must treat discrimination by students or employees or resulting from institutional policies motivated by anti-Semitic intent, right? So any student, teacher, school who is caught doing any of the examples below here, they would lose their state funding and what they said would be deemed anti-Semitic. While that's cool, right? We have what's called a civil rights bill already that covers race. So why they need their own bill in the state of Florida is beyond me. But what really alarms me was the fact that they are limiting what you can say and question a Jew on, which is crazy. Why are we centering kids to the point where they can't express their curiosity as far as history and examine other pieces of history to find truth? Like, why are we just cutting it out altogether? And here's one of them. Making mendacious, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, such as, or the power of Jews as a collective, which is what we've all said plenty of times in this panel regarding the government, especially but not exclusively the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. Why can't we talk about this? Why can't we talk about the Holocaust? If someone felt like, hey, it's not exactly, it didn't go down exactly how you said, why would that be deemed anti-Semitic?
Well, okay, so my question becomes like, it's not saying we can't talk about the Holocaust, but I think there's some questions about challenging it. And a lot of those have, because a lot of the things that quote unquote challenge it have been proven and deemed false. There is a group that there's a group of people in this country that think the Holocaust never happened.
Never happened, yeah.
And that's pushing the envelope. Now, I don't think a school will be opposed to discussing, because I think it's some gray area. Like, I don't think this is covered where some people will say 6 million Jews died. Some people will say 2 million Jews died. I think that's a conversation. Now, I do have some problems with this bill. I think the fact that they have an unquestioning eye of Israel, and I am an Israel supporter over Palestine, but that doesn't mean I believe Israel is innocent. The fact that it doesn't, it's almost like in this bill it says you really can't question Israel. I do. There's a little bit of government overreach in this bill, which I will agree with.
So you said it shouldn't be challenged because it's already been historically verified, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Slavery has been historically verified, but there are still several holes in that story. And we openly discuss those things. Why are the Jews why is there separation? Well, you can question slavery, and we can actually talk about what did and didn't happen. You know, Kanye West can say slavery was a choice and we all hop on board, but questioning the Holocaust is a no-no. I don't understand that.
But give me an example of a hole in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Well, the number of people that actually were murdered.
I don't think it's up for a question. Like they're not saying that. Well, no, I don't think that they're saying that's against the rules. I think based on the verbiage, again, it is a little bit gray. My verbiage it sounds like you cannot question that there was a Holocaust. Read that line. I can't see it.
Accusing the Jews as a people or the state of Israel of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. What I just said falls under exaggerating the Holocaust.
I think 2 million or 6 million is both pretty bad. I think saying exaggerating means, well, the Holocaust, there wasn't really any, camps there. It was more of just a slavery. It wasn't really.
Right.
I think there's some
but
gray area.
Why can't I say that? That's the overall point. Why can't a student say that?
Because it's blatantly false. Like, well, it's also saying that it's not saying that a student can't say it. They're saying that it can't be taught.
No. A student can't say this. This applies to educational institution must treat discrimination by student or employee or the institution. Students are involved in this. Why can't a student ask that? Why can't a student say that?
So what happens if a student questions something and they go, I have my granddaddy said there was no such thing as the Holocaust. So what happens to that student?
So from what DeSantis said, because I watched his press conference after he signed this, he said, look, if we do find out that this is something that is being fostered or communicated in the school, then I'm cutting your state funding.
I don't know. I'd like to see how it's in action. It's similar to CRT. Like, I think CRT is overblown a bit. I think in some place everybody's like, because then you've got the far left that's like, Black history is not CRT, and we're like, we know that. So I think there is some gray areas where some parents freak out. They're like, I don't want my student learning about slavery. And it's like, that doesn't happen very often. So it gets kind of confusing and muddied down. Like, I think that there is some quote unquote grace on this where you can have a very basic discussion. But I truly believe that if it ever is deemed as over the line, the teacher is supposed to silence it, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Fundamentally, I think that you're right, though, Suni. Like, why do we need a bill like this in order for it to be right? Like, because like there's a difference between being a Holocaust denier and somebody who's saying, well, was there 2 million Jews that were killed, and 2 million Polacks and 2 million, like, there's a whole host of people in that group that were not necessarily Jewish, right? And so exactly, I think the tenor of the discussion should be, why does this bill exist when we don't need it? We have historical facts, and what I kind of took from some of the line I read in it was, this is really about like not letting it rage out of control. But I don't see.
There's no need for it.
Really is applicable in some senses.
And even in Florida, right? The representatives were like, bro, do not sign this. The Jews that were there, they were like, don't sign this. I think there was 32 of them that were against this. Like, don't sign this. This is not necessary.
Who was saying
that? The only reason that it was signed.
Well, you're saying representatives in the House, or Senate?
In Florida.
Because this bill passed 100% unanimously. Like, that's the thing that's weird about this bill. Like, it passed 100%. Not one person said no to this bill.
Not one person.
DeSantis couldn't even veto this bill if he wanted to.
But he doesn't want to veto
it. 2/3 of the vote.
He was the one who pushed it. He was happy to sign it.
I know, but it's weird that people said don't sign this, but then they either didn't show up to vote or voted yes. That's so weird.
This is a good pretext question. I don't know, but maybe.
No, there weren't incidents in schools. It was just a overall national reaction to the increasing of anti-Semitic behavior. Remember when the whole thing that was going on with Palestine and Israel? And that was actually 2 years ago. But before then, you had an so-called increase of anti-Semitic behavior then. So it's not like things are going on in a school and they're like, okay, we have to do something about this. There was no reason for him to do it. Like, there's no reason for this. You have the civil rights era. I should be able to question a student, a teacher, whoever should be able to question the Holocaust without getting in trouble or losing funding. That's absurd. Imagine if this said you cannot question slavery. You cannot make a Black student feel like you are degrading what happened with slavery, we would all be up in arms.
So do you think?
That is kind of happening.
Sure.
What about for CRT? If there's a lot of.
I'm against CRT.
Right, I know, but there's states like Texas, I believe, that is saying that if you allow CRT in your school district, you're going to lose funding.
I don't think that's right. I don't think they should cut funding, but I think parents should be able to opt out of it and say, I don't want this taught to my kid.
Well,
so how do you stop it from happening then without actually?
In a capitalistic society, the funding is how you move things around and you change decisions, right? And I think that is a good way of doing it is by cutting funding.
It's such a tough area, especially those were words that just came out of a libertarian's mouth. So,
I want to save money. I don't want to freaking add more $30 trillion to debt. Jesus.
One of the things that was interesting, and I kind of read through the bill, I skimmed it. I didn't go line for line, but it does kind of allude to you can't criticize Israel.
It does allude to it.
Right. And one of the big things about that for me, right, is you can look just 30 years, 40 years into history, and Israel had worked as an arms dealer basically for Contra wars. They were like a safe haven where illegal trade could happen. So I don't think there needs to be a bill, but I think there might be some missing context here, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know where to put my finger on it.
So because it's Black History Month, we are going to have a show about CRT a little bit more. I've got a couple people that we might have on. So this question is interesting because CRT was never taught until recently. It's a newer. Well, it was taught in universities before this, but in terms of elementary school and high school, there was no CRT until recently, until it started getting passed down the line from certain political science and collegiate courses. So
can I just contend a little bit and say, growing up in California, the CRT curriculum that they're trying to pass into law was widely accepted amongst history teachers in many, many schools, including my own. Now, was it as drastic as what CRT is trying to push? No, but there was absolutely kind of it was a stepping stone, our logical stepping stone in California where I grew up.
It's possible. Very, very possible. I think it's a gray area, and I don't think there's a correct answer, and I don't love this bill, and I'm shocked that it got 100% approval, especially not as, again, I'm half Jewish and I'm as far from anti-Semitic as possible, but I think we should be allowed to question some things.
Well, I don't speech, right?
Right. I think it should not be taught that there was no such thing as the Holocaust, but I don't think a kid should be punished for asking a question and having a logical conversation with teachers knowing what they can and cannot teach. I do think there should be, you can't have somebody that is teaching that the Holocaust didn't happen. I think that's fair. If they believe it, then they need to just go to the book and be like, here is where 2 million Jewish people died or something. Like sometimes you got to suck it up. It's a tough one. And again, because I also am on the side of Casey. I don't think CRT should be allowed to be taught. But again, I do think that terminology is starting to get blown out of proportion. And I'd love to have a better conversation, a longer conversation for a different day. All right. Now let's move on to an idiot. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share this ESPN clip, which I might have to stop and start a couple times. We'll see. Now this one really, to me, really takes the cake. This really takes the cake. All right. You guys see it all right? Good?
Mm-hmm. With genocide and human rights violations in Tibet region and against Uyghurs in China. The International Olympic Committee chose Beijing while stating it is committed to human rights. Today's opening ceremony, which again you will see tonight, featured a lighting of the torch by 2 members of the Chinese Olympic team, one of which is Uyghur. J.A. Adonde, as a fan and then as a reporter, how do you reconcile enjoying this competition while also considering everything I just said?
This, by the way, to me is one of the crazy, and ESPN says some crazy stuff. This is up there.
I think it's standard in sports right now. You have to have a cognitive dissonance. You need to compartmentalize. We've never had a more enjoyable NFL playoffs in this country, and we've never had more people watching the playoffs. And yet it goes on amid the ongoing allegations against Dan Snyder owning the Washington football team, and the continuous concussion concerns, and now the concerns about diversity and the allegations and the questions about competitive integrity, even all of that. And yet we're still enjoying the games. And who are we to criticize China's human?
Here it is right here. Who are we to criticize?
Human rights records when we have ongoing attacks by the agents of the state against unarmed citizens, and we've got assault on the voting rights of our people
Assault
of color
on the voting
in various
rights.
states in this country. So sports, I think it is possible, and it's necessary more than ever to just shut everything out if you are to enjoy the actual games themselves.
So reality here is going to give him a chance to fix the idiocy that he just said.
Appreciate everything you just said there. You have covered 5 Olympic Games, if I have that right, J.A.? Just to follow up here specifically on China here. We're talking about human rights violations. We're talking about genocide. And the IOC...
Like, hey, really quick, J.A., I'm going to give you a chance to fix what you just said. We're talking genocide.
Chose China, specifically said, yes, we will go there, while maintaining they are for human rights and things of that nature, and that sports can conquer that. How do you view it?
Well, again, where can you choose that's free? And look at some of the other recent hosts of the games, including Russia and some other recent plays. It's very hard to find a country that isn't problematic when it comes to human rights, including here. Remember, we had athletes boycott going to Mexico City because of the human rights issues in the United States in 1968, most notably Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think we can bring attention to it. I think it's notable that we did have a Uyghur participant lighting the torch, and hopefully this will be used to bring attention to it rather than to continue to place these issues.
Page, if I could bring you with genocide.
Jeez.
Wow.
By the way, a Uyghur, if anybody's wondering, that's a Muslim out there. That is the people
Chinese
that are in
Muslim.
the Chinese Muslim that is in the internment camps and concentration camps and indentured servants and everything that's going on in that country. That is who they are. They had somebody essentially propped up by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to help light the torch for pictures. There was another person that lit the torch that actually there is news clippings stoned a man to death, and he was one of the Olympic torch bearers as well. So, can anybody rationalize comparing genocide to the egregious voting rights in the United States of America?
No, they don't even compare. All right. I don't know.
She said, "All right."
We live in a clown world, and you just have to get used to it. That's where I'm at. Look, there are going to be idiots on TV, and if you're an idiot person with them and you believe what they're saying, then shame on you, bro. Whatever makes people learn. I'm a person. I had to bump my head 1,000 times before I was like, "Ouch, that shit hurts." So I think a lot of other Americans are like that. Bump your head a few times. Keep saying this stuff.
This is
watch how fast your country. Go ahead.
This is so. I used to watch ESPN religiously. I don't anymore. But Jay Adonde has been a staple for 20 years. And again, I find it fascinating that some of the black pundits, the black reporters, people like Oprah, the ones that have had the great opportunities that America provides to them, instead of teaching black people how great the country can be and how to follow the same path as them, they continue to take this history of how terrible it is, and to literally compare genocide to having to show your ID to vote. If you don't think the Uyghurs of in China would literally be like, really, you're fucking with me right now, right? We're comparing these two things, like. Oh, you had 16 unarmed black men that died last year trying to hurt somebody with or without a gun or without a gun or something that it didn't know. Like, oh, you're comparing that to, oh, I'm Muslim and you now get beaten to death. Like it's absurd to have that kind of thought process.
I feel like it's pure desperation. Like this is when they start comparing this, genocide to voting rights. Like this is like a strict pull at emotions in order to just pull people in and make them think that everything that's happening in this country is wrong. And it is a tactic that we've seen used 100 times over. The sad part is that probably 60 or 70% of the people watching that are going to think, oh, you know what? That's a good comparison. Like that's where it breaks down for me, is the logic inside of our society is almost zero at this point, that it's disturbing. But
well, the good news is I think viewership, last I heard, had dropped something like 40%. It's
bad.
And it was like one of the lowest since like the Barcelona Olympics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's just pray and hope.
Capitalist culture, not cancel culture.
So before I get into the fired comment, it's interesting. I remember when ESPN turned the tide. I remember seeing this one story, and I went ballistic like before I even had a Twitter. What's so funny? What am I missing?
I'll show you when we get there.
Okay. All right. So there was a story done, and you could tell they purposefully put one of their black female hosts on the story, and there was something in like Tampa or like somewhere in Florida, but it was an industrial district, and it was a gym that had a bunch of equipment, and the story was so built up. It was like a 7-minute story of racism because there was two big black guys that were athletes, obviously like 240 pounds, jacked, ripped, and they were banging on this window because they were looking, and he was an NFL player, looking to buy used equipment, and they looked in and they didn't know if it was being used, and they didn't know if anybody was there that day. So they're banging the crap out of the window, and it scared the girl working at the desk. She was alone. There was two black guys, I think it was three black guys and one female. And that was their excuse. They're like, there was a female there. It was safe, which anybody that knows human trafficking typically uses a female, by the way. If anybody knows anything, and if you want to learn a lesson, typically a female is used as bait. So anyways, this girl freaked out because you've got these three, black, white, doesn't matter, three big friggin' dudes banging on the window, looking in, trying to see if anybody's there. She got terrified, said, please go away. She was all alone. Called the police. The police came. They put the guy nicely in the back of a cop car while they're having a conversation the whole time. And the guy literally goes, they were really nice to me. Once we figured out it was a misunderstanding, they let me go. And ESPN decided to make a 7-minute story out of it, utilizing at the time one of their very few black female hosts. And it's like, this is everything that's wrong. And I recognized it then. I'm like, they're reaching to have some kind of racist story because that's what sells to the left, and that's what ESPN has become, and that was the beginning of it. And I saw at that point, that's honestly when I stopped watching ESPN. So anyways, should he be fired? Since this goes along with our cancel culture, what should be the accountability for this, Suni?
I mean, it would depend on what the network says. If the network says that this type of talk can't be had on their show, and they let him go because he is held to that contractually, then I think he should be suspended like Whoopi, or fired like any other person has been fired. I don't think I don't think anybody should be receiving special treatment. I think everyone should be treated the same across the board. If you say something that goes against what the company wants, believes, whatever, then you're getting kicked off. If I was on Fox News and I decided to say, quote unquote, F the Jews, and they were like, you gotta go, I can't be like, cancel culture. No, I said something that they don't believe in. So he needs to get his ass suspended, fired, whatever's going to happen based on ESPN.
Nothing's going to happen based on ESPN. But it's interesting. I think you're understanding and I agree, the nuances between where does accountability, contract, and cancel culture, where the lines are so narrow at this point.
I think it becomes cancel culture when the public calls for cancellation specifically because they don't like somebody. Not because they actually violated a contractual agreement, but just because I don't like them, they need to go.
Yeah.
But you're right, Anthony. Like the lines are blurred even on that. Like where does the public draw the line on Are we canceling them because we just don't like what they say? Are we canceling them because they would do it to us? You know, as a tit for tat.
And I like the tit for tat. I
is,
like Craig Long said it the other night. He's like, and I've always said this. I think the cancel culture stops when the cancel culture starts to fight back. When all of a sudden they go like, oh God, they're getting us for the same thing. Go ahead,
I got
Eric, and then Suni.
I got to interrupt, and I got to say that's a race to the bottom. What they're really trying to achieve is everybody being cancelable. So it doesn't matter whether you're left or right. If we give into that culture and we participate in that culture, we will find ourselves without a First Amendment. And that is the goal. And that's the overarching argument that I will make. This is why we need to go to capitalist culture rather than cancel culture. In a capitalist culture, people can say whatever the hell they want, but they won't get dollars. And so should he be fired? It depends on how much money it's costing the network.
I agree. I think we're saying it in a different way. A capitalist, again, it's that very gray area, but at the same time.
But if we start canceling, then we're racing to the bottom. And
by not putting our dollars in, we are using capitalist culture to cancel culture. It's the same thing.
But it's unintended. The consequence is not from a cultural standpoint of I don't like you as a person. It's I don't like what you're saying and your content. And I don't agree with you, and it's a way to vote with your dollars, which allows the society to be sort of disconnected from a culture standpoint, and that's the identity politics.
So do you believe and we're about to get into trucker convoy? Do you believe we should do the boycott of GoFundMe?
I believe that is a perfect example of how you vote with your dollar.
Agreed.
So yeah, I like. They are not doing a service for the public. They are doing a service for one group of people. And if they want to participate in that, guess what? As a conservative person, you've lost me. Nobody who opens a GoFundMe account is getting my dollars.
Agreed.
Just period.
Same.
So,
but I just don't see it overriding
difference versus cancel culture, and they're just a little bit different. One plays identity politics, the other one.
It's not. It's all this.
It's a fine line, right? It's a fine line, but the ramifications of how we choose to participate in each subject or each side is really dependent on how we not even use cancel culture. This was my a retort to it, right? Because there's like, well, what do you suggest? Well, when people watch me, and let's just say somebody from Whoopi Goldberg's camp saw me and they're like, yo, look at this video. And she sees me saying, yo, I think Whoopi is absolutely dumb. I think she's an idiot. She's a freaking moron. But I'm going to fight for her rights because you shouldn't be centered on certain things. I think that wins more people over than acting like wild banshees. Like maybe it's because I've already went through it. I've already gone through like
the
phases of.
But that's where you lose me.
Suni, go ahead.
That's where you lose me because we're expecting them to be logical like that, right? Like, hey, I'm going to show you this grace and mercy, and you're going to recognize that I'm giving it to you. They're not.
They're not,
and they don't care.
So why would they recognize you canceling them?
So for the exact reason Easy doesn't like it. But go ahead, Mo. Go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you finish. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry.
No. I was going to say for that exact reason.
It's a race to the bottom. And the thing is, if one side is the dominant side for a period of time, they're the dominant side. They are not going to stick up for the other side. They're going to bury the other side. And then when the government or whoever, the overreaching hand, decides to pull it from them, it's too late. Whereas if we start to beat each other down, and this sounds completely opposite to the way that I look at motivation and working with people. But if in this world it's war, essentially, it's an intellectual war to be able to actually have your First Amendment rights. If we beat each other down enough, once we are laying on the ground together, we look at each other and go, oh, this was fucking stupid. And then it's not. It's definitely not too late.
Absolutely.
Then because we've done it to each other.
We start to realize it.
No, I see where I disagree, because at this point, if we've done it to each other, we can fix it. If one side,
I would agree with you, Russo. I would agree if the right was canceling Whoopi. We didn't suspend Whoopi. The left did. We had nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. If we influenced that, I would be on y'all's side and say, I get your point. But we had nothing to do with the cancellation or the suspension of Whoopi. Her comments about Jews is what got her where she is. Period, point blank. We had nothing to do with it. All we're doing is celebrating it. Woo! She got canceled.
I'll take. Yeah, I'll
actually
take
no. I'm rooting for the suspension to go straight to never again. Are you coming back on the show? That's what I want. I'm not okay with giving a suspension.
Mo, would you watch The View? Would you watch The View if Whoopi wasn't on it?
Actually, to tell you the truth, I watched The View for content. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I didn't mind Whoopi. She was like the least annoying to me out of all of them. I actually liked her.
That's where that fine line is, right? Is if you want Whoopi gone, right? That's like a personal feeling, and I don't think that's wrong. Where I think it gets muddied is, well, is the network losing ratings over it? Because that's really where that cancel is going to happen, right? Is if they're losing ratings or dollars, then they'll cut her off. But if you personally, right, don't feel like, man, I want to watch The View because of Whoopi, that's where that identity politics, that's that fine line, right? And so I just wanted to ask that question because it identifies exactly where that line is for people. Like if you enjoy it because the content is interesting to you, but Whoopi's the problem, that is the culture of canceling, right? Whereas if you just would watch it and didn't care whether Whoopi was on it or not, then that's kind of that's the fine line, right?
So I'm going to tell you. So I watch a lot of Ratchet TV because I do it for content, but every show on TV has your token Black person, your token Jew, white person.
Hold on,
maybe
wait.
An Asian
say that
person,
again. It's
and a
say
Hispanic.
it again. Monique, say it's got its token what? Go through the whole list again.
Token Black person. Oh, okay, token Black person.
Okay.
Token Jew. White guy. And Hispanic person. There you go. I'm just saying, okay? So for instance, I loved, and I know Suni's going to roll her eyes at this, I loved watching the Wendy Williams show. Okay, not because I agree with everything Wendy says, but I found her hilarious. I found her hilarious, okay? Now she's gone, okay? Now she's gone. And I see them going through the token Black person replacements, right? They've had one white person, I think, fill in for her. And I'm sure they're just seeing how the ratings go, when we got the white guy there, when we got the Black guy. And they're doing the same thing on The View. They've had Star Jones. They've had all these other people there. They're not, I'm telling you, they're looking for her replacement. I really do think so. And then when they bring in her replacement, it's going to cause a ripple effect because those girls have some type of thing together. And
I got an idea.
I'm sure one will retire.
You need a Black woman with a comorbidity. Stacey Abrams.
Boom! All outside.
Boom.
She is wide and all outside. That's retribution.
Big.
Okay. So we ended up having more people join on the regular page. So let's do this. Last call. We got a 1 minute call before we pull from the regular Be The Change, because we are going to be talking about V's and masks and all the things that YouTube hates us for.
What? Can we talk about this really quick before because this is fun. Yeah. I think you guys are going to die.
Let's go and watch it. Keep repeating this, guys. Go ahead. If you see this on your page on the bottom, please switch in the next 30 seconds to a minute to this right there. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
You guys want to see something funny?
Oh, that's good. Wait, didn't Chris Rock just said something too, didn't he? Chris Rock just said something about how ridiculous crap is. I don't know. All right, last call. That's funny. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. The View doesn't like Abrams. Why not?
Because she wide and all outside.
No, I shouldn't. by the way, I know Tracy, I know you're Kansas City. Speaking of Kansas City, I'll be speaking this weekend on Sunday morning. And comechangeyourlife.com. Again, that's comechangeyourlife.com. If you want information, you can do it in person or digitally, but I will be giving a motivational conference, speaking at a motivational conference up there this week. We are down to...
I didn't get it.
What's that? Oh, Deborah,
I didn't get it.
We'll talk about to once we leave this channel, once we leave the other Be the Change, we will talk. We'll start with Crack for Black. No, if you're on Facebook, you're good. If you can see this post not on the screen but on your comment section, switch over, please. We're not. Last week you guys listened much better. Am I wearing a mask? Am I a teacher wearing a mask? Am I having trouble teaching people? If you can see this post in your comments for the,
I think it needs to be said with an Asian accent, and then they'll listen.
Oh, please read this page. Read it alone. You've been here for an hour. You read now. No? Okay. I don't know if you know this, Joe Rogan. I smoke rocks. This is not the first time I've had penis in my mouth. It's a clip from Fear Factor jokes, if you're wondering. Let's see. Oh, they probably came down on her because she wasn't wearing a mask.
She wasn't wearing a mask. And they all don't wear a mask on their fucking set. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
That's so dumb. I just think it is dumb because she's in front of a bunch of children.
Women are just ruining the country.
I think we just repeal.
Exactly.
If
you don't see it in the comments, you're in the wrong chat or in the wrong one.
No link.
Go to this one.
No, if you do see it in the comments, you're in the wrong chat. If you don't see it, you're in the right place. I know this is incredibly confusing. This is like hurting sheep.
It is.
Okay.
We dropped down to 12. So.
Oh, you see 12? I see 15.
I see 12.
You have
there
to
it is,
explain it to the boomers, okay,
Yeah.
Russo?
Man. Sunni. God, calling out being
that
an
is-
ageist. Joe Biden doesn't even think you're able to log on to a computer, for God's sake. Jeez. All right, we're going to pull this other.
He doesn't even think you guys have internet. So.
You don't know where to get IDs. I mean, this whole thing is just tough.
We all smoke crack, bro. Damn.
According to Joe Biden, you're technically not even black because you didn't vote for him. So,
I didn't vote for him. Yep.
And the count of 5, I'm pulling it from that page. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bye, viewers.
Bye.